Okay, this guy's pretty excited about something, so let's find out what he's excited about. The following is a fantastic strategy which has huge potential to see people saved and assimilated into your church. This is a really great strategy that has the potential to mobilize absolutely everybody in a congregation. So let's see how it works. The core of this strategy is the website bible11.org/ and then the name of your church, or an abbreviation of the name of your church. So if you go onto that website there at the moment, you'll see nothing, because to make it go live you need the abbreviation of your church name after the /. So how does it work? Well, firstly, your church will print some business cards with the following on each side. On one side will be the name of your church, your logo, and anything else you want to include. On the other side will be the words, the whole Bible summarized in 11 minutes. At the bottom there will be a unique web address which links directly to your church. So you tell us what wording you want after the / and the web address. We register this for you. The web address then becomes unique to your church. So it looks like it's a web address that's dedicated to your church. These cards are then given out to all the members in your church. They will in turn give them to non-Christian family, friends, workmates, neighbours, and so on. There's somebody handing over a card. What do non-Christians see when they visit Bible11, in this case, .org, Te Puke Baptist Church? Well, the first thing they see is some people in your church welcoming the visitor to the site. This is your intro. Now, this happens to be the pastor of Te Puke Baptist Church. So let's watch him with their intro. The other person on here is another pastor in the church, and I'm not sure who the third, but there's three of them who are sharing the intro here, but this is Ken, the pastor.
Hi, I'm Ken.
I'm Sue.
And I'm Joel.
And we'd like to thank you for taking the time to visit this website. What you are about to see is a short video that summarizes the central message of the most famous book of all time.
It's been translated into more languages than any other book. In other words, its timeless truths are important for all groups, cultures, and ages. It's just as relevant today as it was when it was first written.
God has worked through the Bible to change the lives of billions of people through the ages. My prayer is that as you watch this video, this will be your experience too. Enjoy.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, next they see the 11-minute presentation of the gospel, which I'm going to show you now because some of you may not have seen this. So this will be the gospel message that they hear.
Gospel message. The Bible describes God and heaven as holy. Holy just means perfect. Now, it's really important to understand that God can't let anything imperfect into heaven. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be heaven. The Bible also says that all of us have a body and a soul. At death, our body is either buried or cremated. But our soul, which is the real you, lives on forever, either in heaven or hell. So unfortunately, we've got a bit of a problem because the Bible says that if we've broken just one of God's laws, for example, if we've lied once, cheated once, hated once, just once, like we all have, let's be honest, then our soul becomes imperfect and we cannot enter heaven. Do you know anyone who has never broken any of God's laws? The answer is obviously no. So here's our problem. All people have broken God's laws. Therefore, all people have imperfect souls. So if at death your soul could either go to heaven or hell, but to get to heaven, you must have a perfect record, and none of us have one, then sadly all of us must be headed for hell. Now that might seem harsh, and you might ask the question, how could a loving God create a place like hell, let alone send someone there? So let's look at it this way. Think of someone you love very much. Now imagine that person is brutally murdered. The police catch the murderer, and the murderer pleads guilty in court. But to your horror, the judge says, "This is a really bad thing you've done. But because I'm a loving judge, I'm just going to let you off." You'd be very angry, wouldn't you? Why? Because you know that when someone has broken the law, they must be punished. Otherwise, there's no justice. So you see, hell is not a love issue. It's a justice issue. Let's consider 3 questions to help us understand why there's got to be this place called hell. Have you ever told a lie in your life? Well, the answer is surely yes, even if only a so-called white lie. If you've lied once, then you're guilty of being a liar. Have you ever taken anything that's not yours? For example, have you ever gone to work late or left early and got paid for it? Have you ever used the boss's telephone or photocopier without asking permission, or knowingly taken an office pencil home? This is stealing, of course. Most people have taken something that's not theirs, which makes them guilty of being a thief. Now, do you think that God is going to let a bunch of thieving liars like us into heaven? Not likely, because if he did, he'd be the same as the unjust judge who failed to punish the murder of the one you love. We can't have it both ways. But many people say, wait a minute, I'm a good person. And there's a big difference between lying and stealing and murder. I've never murdered anyone. But what's interesting is the way Jesus redefined murder. He said that if you hated a person in your heart, you've murdered them in your heart. So here's the last question. Have you ever hated anyone? The truth is that most people have felt anger or hatred in their heart towards others, which in God's eyes makes us guilty of murder. So you see, this is the bad news. For the sake of justice, there has to be a place called hell. But there is good news, and this is where Jesus Christ comes in. The most significant thing that distinguishes Jesus from everyone else is that he is perfect. Unlike us, he's not broken any of God's laws. So he has a perfect record, a perfect soul. Picture the scene before Jesus came to earth 2,000 years ago. Jesus looked forward in time and saw you here today. He turned to God the Father and asked him, Father, I love the people in the world, and I don't want them to go to hell for breaking your laws. Is there a way for them to be forgiven? God the Father looked at his Son and said, Jesus, there is one way. Go to earth and become a human being, and live a perfect life. Then die a cruel death on a cross to take the punishment that the people in the world justly deserve for breaking my laws. When you do this, I can make it possible for them to be forgiven the day when they ask you to exchange their imperfect record for your perfect record. Jesus willingly agreed, and 2,000 years ago, he came to lay down his life for us, to pay the price for all of God's laws that we've broken. And there is no greater love than when someone lays down their life for another. But there is still something that we must do to be forgiven. There are 3 major events in everyone's life. There's birth and death. Ultimately, we have no control over these. But the 3rd major event is the day when we ask Jesus to forgive us, when we ask Jesus to give us his perfect record. Now, there are some popular misconceptions about this, but in the Bible, God's gift of forgiveness is clear. We're not forgiven by being christened or baptized or confirmed, not even by praying occasionally or going to church, or by believing in God, or by trying to be good. These are all good things, but none of them give us forgiveness. Jesus said that there are 2 things that we must do to be forgiven. The first is that we must be willing to turn away from anything we know is wrong in our life and say sorry to Jesus. Notice the word willing. There may be some things in your life that you feel powerless to give up on your own strength, like addictions or habits or other complicated things. And that's okay, because God will help us as long as we're willing and want to turn away from those things. The second thing we must do is surrender to Jesus. Now, surrender means this. If God made you and the entire universe that surrounds you, don't you think he deserves to be the central person in your life? Surrendering to Jesus is when we acknowledge him as our Savior and humble our lives to him in service. When you were born, it's as though God opened a book about your life. Now, bear in mind that God sees everything you do. He knows every attitude, every thought, every motive, and every action. Every time we break just one of God's laws, it's written down in that book. You can imagine that by the end of our lives, there's a whole library written against us. But when you turn and surrender to Jesus, something incredible happens. It's like Jesus takes your book and stands at the top of a cliff and tears out all the pages, the whole record of the things you've done wrong, and he throws them into the deepest sea. He promises to never remember those things again. Jesus then takes a copy of his perfect record, which you've asked him to give you, and he places it inside the cover of your book with your name on the spine. That book is then stored like a precious library book in heaven. The miracle is that your book is not touched again between the point that you asked Jesus to forgive you and death, even though in that time you may make mistakes and break God's laws again. Becoming a Christian doesn't instantly make you perfect, nor does it mean that you can say a quick prayer and return to your old ways. Remember, God forgave you forever when you asked for Jesus' perfect record. All he asks is that you surrender everything to him and let him daily refine you from your wrongdoing. When you die, you will go before God on Judgment Day, and God will command his angels to get your book. He'll look inside that book and say, "This person was perfect." You will probably say to him, "No, I wasn't. I broke your laws. Don't I justly deserve to go to hell?" And Jesus will say to you, "For the sake of justice, you do deserve to go to hell. You did break my laws, and some you broke many times. But you, my beautiful child, have my perfect record, which I gave you when you turned and surrendered to me on earth, and I forgave you. Welcome to heaven." That is why Jesus is so amazing. He made it possible for everyone in the world, regardless of what mistakes we've made, to be forgiven and to one day enter heaven. But say you never turned and surrendered. Think about what would happen. When you die, you'll go before God at judgment, and God will say to you, "I'm sorry, I can't let you enter heaven. I have to send you to hell. You never asked me to forgive you. I loved you so much that I tried 6 ways to get through to you. First, I died on the cross to take your punishment. Second, someone explained to you in a simple way that you could be forgiven. Third, there were churches throughout the world. Some were good and some I was ashamed of. You could have found the good ones. Fourth, I gave you a conscience so you could tell right from wrong. Fifth, I created a world around you that was so awesome. How could you not wonder about me? And finally, I rose from the dead to prove that I was God and that everything I said was true. But you still did nothing. I'm sorry, I can't let you enter heaven. I have to send you to hell. So how about you? If you die tonight, where will you go? Remember, to get to heaven, you need a perfect record, which you could never have unless you asked Jesus to give you his. To receive this free gift, you only have to do 2 things. First, be willing to turn away from the wrong way. And secondly, surrender to Jesus. Unless you do these 2 things, it's impossible to be forgiven. And at death, it's impossible to get into heaven. Which is so sad. Because this is the very reason Jesus died for you.
Alright, what happens after that? You can view the video at Bible11.com if you want to see that again, or you can just watch it again here on this video. After hearing and seeing the gospel message, the pastor or someone else in your church or a number of people in your church do an outro. So let's just watch the outro again of Te Puke Baptist Church and see what they say.
Thank you for taking the time to watch the summary of the central message of the Bible. Here's a question that we'd like to ask you.
If everything you've just heard is true, then what does that mean for you? Of all the questions you will ask in life, this is the most important.
On the little business card that you were given, one bit like this, which led you to this website, there is the name of our church, Te Puke Baptist Church. At our church there are lots of awesome, friendly, down-to-earth people who'd love to get to know you, answer your questions, provide encouragement or a helping hand.
You could check some of them out right now. Please take a moment or 2 to click on each of the video clips and you'll meet some of the people from our church. If you'd like someone from our church to make contact with you, then you can fill in your details and we'll get back to you.
There's also a link to our church website where you can contact our church if you'd like to find out more.
Hope we can catch up with you sometime soon.
Right, that's pretty good, isn't it? And then, if you want an alternative outro, you can use Howard Dobson off TV3 Sports Tonight show. So here's Howard. He kindly has done an outro for us. So if you want to choose Howard, you can choose Howard, and that would be pretty good as well.
Hi, I'm Howard Dobson from TV3 Sports Tonight show. Thank you for taking the time to watch the summary of the Bible. Now, when anyone watches this video, I always ask them this question at the end. If everything you've just seen is true, and if you died tonight, where would you go? Of all the questions we ask in life, this is without doubt the most important. If you found out that you're not going to heaven when you die, or you're not sure, please don't stop here. Find someone who can help you take the next steps on your journey. There are some awesome churches in your area where you live, led by friendly, down-to-earth people. They're like coaches or trainers because they've been doing it for a while. They can answer those questions, provide encouragement, a helping hand, and maybe even a little guidance. You can check them out right now. Please take a moment or two to watch these short videos of each one as they introduce themselves to you. Then contact one of them and introduce yourself and go from there. We'll show you how you can find complete forgiveness, the abundant life Jesus offered, and a real and living relationship with Jesus. Hey, I'll see you in heaven.
He's great, isn't he? Okay, and then obviously next is the videos. So what happens at the end of the outro? You go through to the videos. Let's watch what happens here. Okay, after the outro, you're taken through to a place where there is a bank of 2-minute videos of people in your church who are giving their testimony. Now, at the end of their testimony, they invite people, that's the non-Christians who are looking on the site, who visit the site, to contact them, and then by connecting with them, they can develop a relationship with them, answer all their questions, and help them. And through helping them, they can bring them to church and assimilate them into the life of the church. So it's a pretty cool concept. So if you just click on the arrows on either end, you can see there are different people you can go through and see who you'd like to listen to. This is as if you were a non-Christian. Here's another person. Here's another person. So you have a whole lot of people in your church who do 2-minute testimony videos, and at the end of the video, the person invites the non-Christian to connect with them, and there's the button down there, I would like to be contacted by this person. So the non-Christian listens to the testimony, then clicks on that button, and then in this case, Sue, she receives an email with the details, the contact details of the non-Christian who's been watching her video. It's a pretty cool concept. So let's just listen to one of these, and you'll see what's kind of what it's like. Okay.
My name's Duncan. I'm 36 years old, live in Te Puke. I'm a forensic photographer, married, got 5 kids, and I like fishing, playing guitar, going surfing, and just spending time with my family. I was brought up in the church. My parents took me along to church ever since I can remember, but I never really made a decision for myself as to whether I would follow Jesus or not until I was a teenager. And it wasn't until I got married, got older, that I really started seriously thinking about following the teachings of Jesus. And I've just been finding the more I follow him, the more I involve him in my life, just the more amazing life is. And yeah, I'm seeing amazing things happen every day. Is a greater adventure, seeing people getting healed, lives changed. It's just amazing seeing the truth lived out every day in my life. If you'd like to find out more, meet someone from our church, feel free to leave your contact details. We'll get back to you. Otherwise, you can click on the link on this website and go to our church website. Hopefully we'll see you sometime soon.
Okay, ordinarily churches would, a person who's giving their testimony like that would actually invite the non-Christian to connect with the person who's just on the video. So in this case, the church has chosen to connect with the church, but we recommend that you invite the non-Christian to connect with the person who's actually just been speaking on the video. Okay, so there's the little bank of videos that go right at the end of the intro, gospel presentation, outro, and then you've got your bank of videos. That's how it goes. Okay, please notice some things about the testimony videos. On each person's testimony, there's going to be the name of the person in your church. In this case, it's John Doe. Then we're going to have the name of your church. We're going to have the address of your church because people might want to go and check it out. Just do a drive-by. The site visitor is asked to fill out a quick form which is automatically sent through to John Doe. It's up to John to contact the visitor. In this way, John is in control. His contact details are not on the website, they're confidential, so the site is very safe. How do testimony people, or people in the banks of little 2-minute videos in your church, list themselves on the website? Well, you just go to that web address down there. When the site opens, please fill in the online form. All we require is your name, your email, your church name, your church website, and the address of your YouTube video and your pastor's permission. We'd also like your bank account detail and your PIN number. Just joking. So not a whole lot of information, pretty quick and easy to do. How to record your own 2-minute videos from home using your computer and your web camera. This is cool, so you don't need a big setup of tripods and cameras and studios. You just make your own video using your webcam at home. It's pretty cool. So go to the website, churchdnachange.com resources. Look for UWAS, which stands for Unique Web Address Strategy, which will draw non-Christians into your church. Then look for these 2 files, how to shoot your own video using your web camera. And then number 2 is guidelines for making success of this strategy. Have a look at those 2 documents and it'll become clear how you actually shoot your own video using your webcam. We will then send you your unique web address. Have a few 100,000 cards printed. We can print them for you. We get them, we're doing a lot of cards, so we get them at a very good price and we keep the quality up. And then just start recruiting people. So what are you recruiting them for? Recruiting them to give out cards, because the more people you have in your church giving out cards, the more hits you're going to get on the website and the more possibility you are of getting connection with non-Christians in your community. You want to recruit people to shoot their videos and make themselves available to be a connection point for non-Christians who visit the website. Email the link to this video to everyone in your church so that they understand fully what this strategy is all about and can join in. You want the whole church doing this. It's pretty cool. What's the investment? We ask you to give us $100 to set up your website, to make sure it's all going properly, get all the videos going and get everything nicely tweaked and looking fantastic, and then $7 a week on a weekly basis from then on. So that helps support the ministry that we're running, helps other churches get up and running. And if there's very poor churches that can't afford that, then we can subsidize them with the money that you give. So $7 a week is not much to reach your community with the gospel.